He's the King of Kings. Hey, that's a blast from the past, a band that I used to listen to as a youth. When I was a youth, but not a youth anymore. Vic, how you doing over there?
Oh man. I am delightfully busy. You know how sometimes you're crazy stressed out busy and then sometimes you're in a productive mode and everything's coming out right and you're getting stuff done. It's the latter for once. I'm
I
feeling great.
feel that way right now. Like
Do
I am
you?
busy, but I'm telling you what, I'm bowling strikes right now.
Yeah, me too.
So
Totally.
I'm overwhelmed, but I have a piece
Yep.
and everything is like balancing, right? Like I'm getting straight A's this week. So
Yeah. That's so cool. Cause
yeah,
yeah, I hadn't really thought this is kind of like been like the last week. And I'm like, man, it's so nice to instead of feeling tethered to the to-do list, just crossing all that stuff off and being like, yeah, I'm conquering the to-do
yeah.
list.
I can't explain it. And I keep talking to Rob. I'm like, man, I should be really stressed out right now, but I have a piece.
Yeah.
Like, and things are coming together. And every time I think there's going to be a problem, it's cool. So, guys, with that being said, thank you for the prayers. I know people are praying for this conference. I've been praying for this conference and just all of the things. Vic, so cool. We had a congregational meeting at the church on Sunday morning, and this meeting was supposed to take place a month ago, but because of weather and because of all kinds of stuff, we're way late. So I got to share with what's been going on with the ministry, with the church, a lot of things the church didn't know about because we didn't have the meeting.
Sure.
And so, and I made a video about this on Monday night, but let me just recap it. So this is what's going on. The church that I'm going to and the church where the conference is going to be has been partnering with Through the Black. Okay. And they have provided a room for us to do ministry. Well, this started out just as a room where we could just kind of separate our No More Dead Babies stuff from the rest of the stuff because it was becoming a big mess. Well, then it grew and grew and grew, and now we're doing a podcast in that room. Now we're doing Freedom Encounters in that room. Now we're doing ministry for Through the Black in that room, and we're having amazing prayer time in that room. So a lot of cool things are happening. In the church, we're doing a thing called Open Mic Night, which is designed to do outreach. And the feedback has been great. The congregation has overwhelmingly said, hey, we have been growing spiritually. We gave them a little survey, right? And they filled it out. And then we had a meeting and read the survey. And it was real positive, So, and basically we got green lit to do even more stuff.
Woo.
So, yeah, it's super cool. So, Vic, if I had to rent this room somewhere, it would be expensive.
Mm-hmm.
And you know what would happen is the show would turn into asking for a lot of money so we could pay for the room.
Right.
And then the focus would be off the ministry. But because this church, I am telling you what, they don't 100% understand what we're doing. But they were like, just keep doing it. We see the fruit. Okay. So we've done Freedom Encounters with 19 people in how many different states? 11 different states, 2 different countries, over 32 Freedom Encounters since January.
Woo.
And we've done a lot, but we're keeping track this time as much as we can. And so we just want to praise God. There are people out there that need guidance and prayer, and they need somebody to kind of stand beside them while they're praying and walk them through it. And things are complex and some things are a one and done. So, but since I'm talking about Freedom Encounters, you can send an email to throughtheblack.connect@outlook.com, and you can get scheduled for a Freedom Encounter. Mm-hmm. So, it's interesting that we're seeing a pattern among the people that are that we're getting connected with for help. A lot of it is isolation. They don't have anybody around them.
Mm-hmm.
And then they don't have anybody around them to help them or understand. And some people, they just need some support. They need, somebody to pray with and somebody that understands. And they need a witness to be accountable to. So amazing things are happening, and I'm just rejoicing, in all these things. So it's good stuff. Vic, you're going to be here. What is today? Wednesday. You're going to be here in a week.
Yes.
Okay? So,
heck yeah.
And there's a chance you might be sitting in on some Freedom Encounters with us. There's work to be done. Hey, you know what? Yep. We can't stop just because Vic rolls into town. We don't stop what we're doing. Okay? It's not party time. There's work to be done.
Well,
okay?
It sort of is going to be. Hey, I just want to give a little bit of encouragement to people out there who think, man, I really want to be a part of this, but it sounds scary. And if I do Freedom Encounters, and, everybody always envisions the worst case scenario of like someone's going to come in who's completely demon possessed and their head's going to be spinning around in pea soup. And, everybody's like so scared that they're going to get in over their head. And I just want to testify to the Lord, because believe me, Tom, I went into this feeling if there's anyone least equipped in the world to do a Freedom Encounter, it's me, because I don't like being on the phone. I'm not good at initiating conversations. I'm not real sociable over like technology, believe it or not. And so in the last few years, I guess it never dawned on me that writing a book about sleep paralysis would turn into a Freedom Encounter ministry. But obviously people call you and say, man, I've never been able to talk about this before. And Tom, there has been a few times, more than a few times, where you get a few minutes into the phone call and they start unraveling their story and you realize I'm in way over my head. I could not possibly give any solid, like, I understand. I know exactly what you're going through. Like, some of these individuals are very targeted and they're talking about stuff that isn't your standard fodder. And I will just pray during these calls, and I'll just say, Father, when they're done talking, just fill my mouth, because I don't have, they've already exhausted every pastor, every internet site, every deliverance ministry. What am I going to say? And there's just been times where I prayed like, oh God, please, please. And you know what? It's not like I get some mysterious arcane insight, or I get some like prophetic word where I say something. They're like, how did you know that about me? Like, nothing mysterious happens. I just start talking to them. And then at the end, I ask if I can pray for them. And Tom, the phone calls that I have felt the least able to genuinely help or reach that person, I'll get to the end of the conversation and they'll usually be in tears and they'll say, no one has ever listened to me before. No one's ever believed me before. And then because you've prayed, they always get off the phone with hope. And I'll get follow-up texts and DMs, I'm still on cloud 9, and I haven't had sleep paralysis in a week or whatever. And I just want people to know, you don't have to be articulate. You don't have to be a master communicator. You don't have to be college educated. You don't have to have some sort of degree or training in counseling. If you're just willing to listen and love hurting people, the Holy Spirit is going to do the rest. And if you get a really, really curveball occasionally, then you've got backup. You can call people. We know people, and you can email us. Do you have any resources? Is there a resource page on the Through the Black page? And then we can help if it's a more advanced thing. But I don't want, Tom, I don't want people to feel fear of man is a sin, right? Not everybody's called into this ministry, but we are all called to not be afraid of men. And so when we're dealing with hurting people, that's really all we have to do, is be willing to help people who are hurting. And really, the Holy Spirit's going to do the rest. And if you continue to do it and get better at it and you learn what works and what doesn't work, you build your confidence. And pretty soon you're 3 years down the line and you're dealing with people that you never thought you would be able to help. And so it's been such a really amazing, humbling type of ministry to be involved in, where you get to be a part of the Lord's work. It's just I don't know. I don't know what else to say other than the fact that it's so rewarding to know at the end of the day that God was able to fill you with love for a person you've never even met and that reached them.
Vic, I am so glad that you said all that. Yes, it is very rewarding. You don't have to have a degree in any kind of psychology. All you got to do is care.
Yep.
If you care and if you have compassion, that's where you start. And then you add to that. Okay. I'm learning all the time. And I'm
Yeah.
learning more and more the more that we do freedom encounters.
Mhm.
So I'm telling you what, my friend Rob is riding shotgun, and he has been for 3 months now, and he is learning so much. Now, this guy, by the way, he has a lifetime of experience of praying with people and helping people and just giving, Christian advice. But he's
Mhm.
going next level now. Um, just because we're dealing with all these cases, and we're, iron sharpens iron. I'm so glad you said that. I don't want people to be intimidated, and we are going to be doing a class at the conference for the people that show up early on Thursday afternoon. It's going to be a crash course in freedom encounters, and we're going to kind of explain this. We're going to tell a lot of stories about freedom encounters, and Sherry Clausen is going to be there. She's going to be helping me do the class, and we're just going to kind of take our time there and spend, probably about an hour and a half, and then do some Q&A. And we just want to put that out there, and hopefully people will just kind of dip their toe in the water. And at least, what I said to my church last Sunday morning? I said, hey, hopefully you come to this class and understand what we're doing. Then you'll know what people need, or you'll know how to ask people. And I said, if you're not willing to do this, or you don't think you can do it, then bring us the people. Then you be the person that brings us the people.
Yeah.
Okay. Because we need help finding the people that need help. We're putting the word out here, and this is great. Through the Black is a great platform, but we want to reach people locally through the church, right? So, and we're trying to find people locally that will be trained, and there's people in the church that are willing to be trained. So it is kind of nerve wracking doing your first freedom encounter. I'll never forget mine.
Mm.
And but at the end of the day, all you're doing is just being an ear and talking to people and just offering advice. Anybody can do that. So it's so much, we can see so much when we're trying to help somebody else. It's difficult for us to see our own problems. We have blind spots, but when somebody is talking to us, we can see, oh, I can help this person. Oh, I know the advice to give. Oh, I know the scripture. And of course, we recommend taking the class by Russ Dizdar, Freedom Encounters, which is available at Through the Black for free. Okay, you can go to the website, click on the Russ tab, and you can listen to all the courses. It's a game changer. Yeah. So and Katie's bringing it up right now. Click on Russ, scroll down right there, and you click on Freedom Encounters, and it takes you to a separate sub page, and there it is. You can download the notes, and you can take your time taking this class.
Mm.
So there's a lot of information there. If you make it through the first 5, you'll know more than most people.
Mm.
And if you
Mhm.
make it through this course, you're going to have tools that most psychologists or psychiatrists don't have.
Mhm.
And pastors, by the way. Most pastors can't do this.
Yeah. Yeah. And Tom, I'm always reminded of what Russ Dizdar told you, where you were kind of like, "What do I need all this arcane knowledge for?" And Russ said, "Once you know this information, once you're equipped with it, God is going to send you people that need it." And not only have I found that to be true, it's so strange. What else happens is it's like such an organic journey. You'll be talking to someone, and they'll be telling you something you've never heard of before, of like some government conspiracy or something that they read about or whatever. And if you're attentive and you're paying attention to people's stories and you're taking notes and you're asking questions, I guarantee you, every time I hear something in one of my calls that I've never heard before, give it 2 weeks, 4 weeks, a month, someone calls me, "Have you ever heard of this? I think I'm crazy. Have you ever heard of this?" I'm like, "I have heard of this." And so it just builds on one call, just builds on the other, builds on the other, and pretty soon you're like, "Man, how did I learn so much about so much, like, bizarre stuff?" But we have so much to teach each other, and there's so many people too that will um, call you just to share information with you. Once they kind of know what you're up to, they'll say, "Have you read this? And have you seen this? And look at this book." And once you become willing to do this, the Lord is going to equip you with all of the training and the tools and the people that you need.
Yeah. I remember when Russ said that, I'm like, okay, so I take this class, and then somehow people out there that I don't know that I took this class, and then they need my help. I'm like, okay, weirdo, whatever. Like, is what I'm thinking. I'm like, that's
Yeah.
impossible. But that's how new I was to this. I didn't get the God connection that God sends people providentially into your life that need this.
Yeah.
So that's how clueless I was, right? Well, anyway, I come a long way. Hey, speaking of people that have taken the class, we have a good friend of Through the Black and a former guest of a few weeks ago. Jim is taking another trip to Las Vegas. So, guys, pray for him and this trip. Headed to Las Vegas next week. Pray for Dorona, Kurt, and I as we share the gospel and look for opportunities to do the same Freedom Encounters on the Strip. So, guys, this is an extension of Through the Black, okay? Jim is part of us. He's a distant part of us, but he's a part of the prayer team and stuff going on behind the network, behind the scenes, and he has been for a long time. So it's cool to see that happen. He asked, is there going to be a class recorded for training purposes? That's the hard part. I think we're going to record it. I don't know if we're going to put it out live. But the reason is because when we share stories, we want to try to keep them private. And I mean, we always, anytime we share anything public, we are very general. We never give out anybody's names or anything to identify them. But we'll just see. I mean, it will be behind a paywall, so it's not going to be totally out there public. But yeah. So anyway, we'll just have to wait and see. But I think it's going to be included in the package. So originally it wasn't planned to do that, but yeah, we're going to try and do that. We're going to have to record it probably in the sanctuary though. So to do that, which I wasn't planning on doing, but no, good stuff, Vic. Hey, so while we're on the subject of Freedom Encounters, let me bring up another name, Pastor Sean Carter. I talked to him today. And I just called him because, he's been out there, he's been doing his thing, and he's kind of taking a break, man. And I just want to check on him. He is doing good. He is doing Freedom Encounters. He's doing church. He's serving God, and he's rejoicing. And he's excited about the conference. He's like, man, I wish I could be there, but I can't be there this time. And said a prayer for us. So anyway,
Awesome.
Just a quick update on Pastor Sean.
Super cool. Yeah, I've been wondering where he's at and what he's up to, but I certainly expected that he would be busy doing the Lord's work. So it's good to hear.
Yeah. So, Vic, I don't know, we got some things we want to get into tonight, but obviously the big thing is we are, how many minutes into the show? 19, and we haven't talked about the conference, which is next week. It's the biggest thing that we're doing right now. So hopefully, what do we got? We got 14 people right now. I want to tell you guys about the conference. And if you're 19 people, guys, I'm sure you know about the conference, but it's next week, and maybe you can't make it. Maybe you are going to be there, but either way, we're just asking. This is crunch time, so if you want to share the website, if you want to share any of the memes that I've made, are not really memes, but they're slides, they're promotional slides. So yeah, here we go. 7 days, 5 hours, and 35 minutes to the conference. So if you go to this page here, which is a sub page of Through the Black, you can see there you get your tickets, there you get your streaming, and there's the schedule, there's the hotel, There's the address up there at the top for the church. And yes, and then here are the speakers. You know what, Vic, this has been kind of a weird conference. It's not the normal one. What I wanted to do is I want to bring out some people that have not been at conferences before. So the very first two there, Jason Spears and Christopher Dean, we had a blast with him a few weeks ago when they were on the show. Patrick Meechan has been on the show before. So we want to get some people that have not been on the to a conference before. I talked to Coach Dave today. I was on his show this morning. He's excited, man. He was very man, what a good guy. And that guy is the real deal. And every time I talk to him, he says, Tom, whatever you need, you let me know. He means it, man. So you know what I told Coach? I said, Coach, I give you permission to come and kick butt. He said I was going to do it anyway. So,
of course he is.
Folks, all I'm saying is, let me just say this. When I decided to have Coach, I didn't do it in one day. It took me about over a week. And I'm like, do I want to have Coach? Because this is my church, Vic, right?
Okay. Yep.
You know what I'm saying?
I know what you're saying.
This is out of out of their pay grade, so to speak. Good people, they love the Lord, but you know what I'm saying?
He does not hold back.
No, he does not hold back.
He does not have flattering lips.
Yeah. And all of the stuff that I've been saying about the church, about how they're greenlighting everything, well, they haven't seen Coach yet. Okay. So
that's right. Don't count your ministry chickens before they've hatched. Yeah. Well, it's wait till Coach Dave has come and gone.
So Coach is going to be there. And yeah, he's going to close out the conference. Our good friend George Carneal is speaking, and I think it's going to be great. I got a text from Mark Harrington yesterday. He's asking for details, so he's ready to go. He's like, "What do you want me to talk about?" And I'm like, "Well, I was hoping you had that figured out already, but
you got 7 days, 5 hours, dude."
But I'm telling you what, Mark Harrington is nothing but pure excellence. Okay.
Mm-hmm.
He executes with excellence. He is so good at his job, and he saves more babies by accident than anybody else does on purpose. You know what I mean?
Yeah, you got that right.
So just an excellent speaker and man, called to save babies, training kids to do the same. So yeah, powerful ministry. Awesome. He just took like two busloads of kids to Florida, I think.
Ooh.
I think it was 2 busloads. That's what they've been doing the last couple of years, of kids to go down there and save babimed
Man,
for the unborn. Yeah.
Talk about
kids, Vic, when they come back from these trips, they are armed and ready. Anyway, sorry. Go ahead and jump in there.
No, I was just going to say, talk about an unusual spring break for these kids. What an opportunity to turn a spring break time into something giving instead of just partying. And I've told this story before online, but I've seen some of Mark's trainees in action in real world scenarios, like not set up on the street or whatever, but just happened to be places with them where on the fly arguments about abortion came up, heated arguments. And to see teenagers step up, totally not losing their cool, having all of the right apologetics in place right there in their pocket, and seeing them, being able to interact with their own peers. Man, I was so impressed. I couldn't believe how mature and prepared they were for that particular apologetic. Amazing.
Yeah, and they're so even-tempered, right?
Yes.
They're trained not to get in a screaming match.
Yeah.
And they're trained to be Christ-like when people are hurling insults at them. So, yeah. Anyway, we kind of rolled over George there. Anything you want to say about George?
Anyone who's going to be at the conference, be sure to tell George that you like Vicki better than him.
Well, I didn't know it was going to be trying to hack at his self-esteem, but
no. George and I have a hilarious, dry humored love-hate relationship with one another. So I had to beat him to the punch because he would tell everyone the
That's
opposite
true.
if he had
Yeah,
the chance. So
yeah. Matter of fact,
thank you, Katie. Yes.
yeah, matter of fact, yeah, he has tried to get me to, yeah,
Yes.
turn on you
Yes.
quite a few
I
times. I mean, but
I've been privy to some confiscated text messages that he was definitely trying to get you over onto his side.
yes, yeah. So there is a little competition there, but hey, folks, we're going to keep it, it's going to be a family show.
Yeah,
So,
we love George. He is going to give a great testimony. You know, there's a whole bunch of letters that we probably can't say on this platform without being needlessly slapped in the wrist with the ruler. But we'll just say
yeah.
that George has come out of a lifestyle that's got a whole bunch of alphabet letters, and he's got a testimony he is going to share.
Yeah, sorry, I yawned, folks. It is 11:30 at night, so I don't know
Oh
where
man.
you guys are. Yeah, no, it's gonna be good. And yeah, I thought that whole thing with YouTube was over, but I guess it's not because we
I
got our
don't know.
show like shut down that we did with him. So
Yeah, I know. It's so ridiculous every time. And this is the thing that just irks me, and I'm sure it irks him even more. It's like if everyone has a freedom of speech and he gets on to tell his story, it's his life, it's his experience, and I would be very frustrated if everybody else in the world got to get on to YouTube and talk about whatever they wanted to, but I couldn't, so it's so much for tolerance. The leaders of the tolerance movement are not tolerant of people. That's just the way it's always been.
yeah, true story. Annette says, "Coach, don't play." Yeah, that's true. Coach, don't play.
Yeah, yep.
So, okay, Mark Harrington, and then we have Landon from Save Them. So I'm not sure if he's back stateside yet, but I do know this guy has been on the move, and we're going to get up-to-date information about operations here and abroad on child rescue, child trafficking, all that. I'm telling you what, now I've known this guy for years, but I've never heard him speak before. We have just been friends, and I heard him down in Georgia give his whole testimony, and I was blown away. And I'm like, okay, come to my conference and do that right there, because he didn't tell the whole thing last time he was at Out of the Darkness.
Okay, man, I'm excited for that.
Yes, powerful. Last week I talked to Noel Kidd, and dude, this guy is chomping at the bit, dude. He's ready. He's like, Tom, people are gonna get set free. And I'm like,
I
okay,
love it.
yes. Dude, this guy is excited. And a matter of fact, he's taking care of the worship, him and a couple people from his church on Saturday morning. He's
Nice.
speaking first. They're gonna do a couple songs. And yeah, just expect Holy Spirit power. Okay.
Sweet. Can't wait.
Yes. Vic, you want to take the next one here?
Mr. Kenny Ceay. Kenny C, for those who do not know how to pronounce his last name, The Rock with Kenny C. He will be there, I'm assuming, talking about frequency.
That's what I heard.
That's what I heard. Maybe he'll surprise us with a few tricks up his sleeve. Kenny C is a musician extraordinaire, guitar player extraordinaire, and all around wonderful, hilarious guy, super loyal friend. Talk to him almost daily. I can't wait to see him.
Dude, can you imagine like being Kenny C's friend? Like, I mean, I'm his friend, but like anybody that's his friend, you're going to get your picture taken with him if he shows up somewhere.
Oh yeah, you're gonna get a T-shirt and a photo op, and you're gonna be on his Facebook page.
And you're going to be on the Facebook page or wherever.
Yeah. Everybody is a celebrity. He makes everybody feel like they have their red carpet moment.
Yes. So yeah, always looking forward to hanging out with him. Matter of fact, he's already in Ohio, is what I heard.
Oh, that's right. Yeah.
But yeah, it's gonna be a good time. Vicki Joy, everybody knows this chick right here. She wrote a little book called "They Only Come Out at Night." And Vic, I mean, since you're here, I'll just ask you, what are you talking about?
So it's going to be under that basic umbrella of dream warfare, but we're going to get a little bit deeper under the covers here. We're going to start talking a little bit more about areas in film, media, and pop culture where these agendas are being rubbed in our face. And we're going to be talking a little bit more about the spirit spouse phenomenon, which if you'd told me about a few years ago, Tom, I would have said, oh, that's ridiculous. But I am getting inundated with phone calls from people who are suffering from this, and it is terrorizing. And I had no idea how real and how somewhat common of a thing this is for targeted individuals. And so I want to get the word out there that, hey, through the black, we are going to believe you. We're going to listen to your story, and we're going to help you find freedom.
Awesome. Awesome. Hey, is there anybody else in the chat besides Jim? Because that's all I can see.
Nobody's talking to Jim. Poor Jim.
Hey, you got to let other people in on this, Jim. I don't know what's happening right now.
He's commandeering the entire chat.
Yeah. So you got to share, buddy. Hey, so Vicki, this is Dr. Dawn Morton. She is a friend of mine.
Okay.
And this woman is an evangelist. I can't wait for her to meet you guys and you guys to meet her. I mean, what an amazing lady. She serves with me on the board of the church, and I've known her for a very long time. You know, one thing about this girl, I call her a girl. This woman is a Walmart evangelist. She has so many stories of God opening up a door for her to witness the gospel in Walmart.
Oh my goodness.
Yeah.
Wow.
And it's super cool. I don't know if she's going to have a chance to get into those, but hey, if you're listening to this now and you're going to be at the conference, then ask her about some of her Walmart stories. You know what? I knew her at the time, but I did run into her at Walmart, and she prayed for me.
Oh my
and
gosh.
I needed it. Yeah, it's a true story.
I've always admired people that can do that, Tom.
Yeah. She is going to be talking about protecting children in ministry, in churches, in whatever, group that you're in. Okay. Maybe you have a Christian school, maybe you have a Christian campground. It doesn't even necessarily have to be Christian, but any kind of a group where children can be vulnerable to predators. So this is kind of interesting, Vic. I didn't know this, but she's been doing this for years at our church. She renews the training for all the children's workers every year, and she teaches a little class and just kind of reminds them and updates them and stuff. And they have policies in place, where they do background checks or whatever, and they've stopped 3 predators at our church from getting close to the kids.
Oh, wow.
Yeah.
Awesome, but scary.
Yeah, it is. So you know what's scary too? She told me that like over 50% of churches don't have anything in place to protect the kids.
Oh my gosh.
So
oh my word.
I was minding my own business one day, and I'm saying the Lord put this on my heart to invite her to be a part of this conference. And I want people to learn practical things here. Okay. Now, people may not think this is a spiritual warfare thing. It is, right?
Oh, yeah.
It goes right in line with all of these things. So anyway.
Protecting kids. Hey, Tom, I want to say hi to, I'm half blind, so I got to lean in here. Sheila, who is a new subscriber, found us on a 7-year-old video from Now You See TV. That is amazing.
Sweet. Dude.
Welcome, as my grandmother would say. Welcome.
John Pounders.
Yeah. So, he's a buddy.
Yeah, I love those guys. And David Carrico.
Yes.
Man, those guys are amazing. So yeah, I love those guys. Hey, welcome. We're glad to have you. Thanks for hanging out. Folks. And for anybody tuning in, we are having a conference next week and we're talking about it. So Pastor Mike Spalding did a little ditty with him show last week. And he, I'm really excited about what he's talking about, why revival tarries. It's going to be the perfect start to the conference.
Nice.
Okay.
Nice.
So he's the first speaker. So guys, don't be late. It's going to be good stuff. And he's really just, the Lord's laid this on his heart, you know, it's going to be good. So Nathan Widener is just kind of one of those providential people that are going to be speaking at this conference. A friend of mine recommended him for a podcast, and I said, you know what? This guy's in Ohio. Why don't I invite him to the conference? And I just kind of jumped the gun and just decided to do this.
Whoa.
So we'll see how it works out. And I contacted him and he's like, oh, wow, I've never been asked to speak at a conference before. This guy's actually a filmmaker.
Oh.
And he has a powerful testimony. So I'm going to let him explain that. But it'll rip your heart out. But he's going to be speaking at the conference, Nathan Widener. Somebody that's not pictured here is Pastor Bill Dunphy, because we don't have a really good picture for him. But he's the pastor that just got pardoned a little over a month ago. He was a January 6th guy, and he's going to be telling what happened to him.
Wow.
Crazy story. He was in prison for 4 months. Thank God it was only 4 months.
Mm-hmm.
And you know, it's kind of cool. He said, man, he had a dream or something that he was going to get pardoned, and after that he had a peace. And
wow.
There's a couple weeks later that he did. So
what a lineup, man. This is an amazing lineup.
Yeah. Vic, you might have heard of this next guy. Dr. Gregory Reed. We wish he could be there in person, but he can't. But he's going to be making a video for us for the conference.
Awesome.
And yes. So it's going to be an exclusive special video for us. I don't know what it's going to be about, but Greg called me today, and I was actually on my way to another meeting. I was like, I can't talk. I'm going to have to call you back. He said, hey, no problem, man. And praying for us. So, hey, we appreciate those prayers. We appreciate the support, and we appreciate everything that you guys are doing. I just want to say again, the streaming is available for the conference. So you can go to that same page, go to Through the Black, click on Strange Landslide, and you can purchase the streaming, and you can watch it from the comfort of your own home. So, Vic, wow, that's a lot. I think we've got, if we include Sherry Clausen and myself, I think that's 16 people.
Wow.
That's a lot, right?
That's a lot. That's not bad. That's not bad. I'm super excited to see all of the regulars and our friends again, but I'm also really excited to meet the people I've never met before, and really looking forward to meeting Christopher and Jason of Operation Red Pill. We had a good time with them.
Yeah, I'm looking forward to seeing those guys again too. So good stuff. It's going to be a good time. I'm looking forward to it. So a week from tonight, we'll see if there's a show or not. We're probably gonna get on here and do something, but don't expect anything too serious, folks. Because Vic, you're gonna be here next to me.
That's right.
Yeah.
There's no telling how quickly that's going to derail.
Yeah. So anyway, just warning you ahead of time, folks. Vic, I want to ask you this. The only reason I'm asking you first is it gives me time to think of an answer, because it's going to come back on me. Tell me something strange that's happened to you. Like, I want to ask, what's the strangest things that's happened to you? But maybe you don't got to go that far. But
getting a phone call out of the blue one day from Tom Dunn saying, "Want to do a show with me?"
Yeah. Okay.
No. Strange as in like supernatural. I've got a whole bunch of different things. I'm going to go kind of like the supernatural / inspiring, showing the power of God route.
Yeah, let's go with one of those.
But it's also a good story about always kind of being in tune with what's going through your head. Because a lot of times we aren't really paying attention to what's going on in our mind. So this was back in, oh gosh, I was 21, I think. So I can't do the math. I think I was 21. And I was doing a missions trip for the whole summer. And so I was in Ulaanbaatar, Mongolia, teaching English. So we were teaching students English. And it was like a serious program where it was 5 days a week where you were in a classroom in their universities teaching English for 8 hours a day. Like it was an intense English teaching program. And so I had a bunch of ladies in my class, and they decided that they wanted to make me one of the traditional dresses of the Mongolian women, which were called dells. And it's similar to a kimono, but it's very much their own style. And so they wanted to take me on a Saturday to their what they called the black market. It's this huge outdoor market, so that I could pick out my own fabric and I could pick the color and all that. So I went out to this black market on a Saturday with I think 4 of my students. And we picked out what we wanted, and we were headed back toward the bus. We were going to take the bus back to the school, and there were turnstiles, like metal turnstiles coming out of the pavement, even though there was no walls, or like you could totally avoid the turnstiles if you wanted, but everyone was kind of going like cattle towards these turnstiles. And I had a bag like around my waist that was kind of like a big, like old-fashioned backpack kind of thing. And I had like a video camera in there and the stuff we had just bought in my wallet and all this stuff. And as we were walking towards the turnstiles, I happened to realize that in my mind, I was frantically praying and asking Jesus to spare my life from death. And I was like, what? It was so weird. And so I said to my students, I'm like, oh, hey, hold on a second. And I pretended like I was digging for something in my bag, because I wanted to pause. And so I was just pretending like I was looking for something in my bag. And I just prayed and I said, Father, I have no idea why this stuff is running through my head. I don't have any sort of premonition, like the hair isn't standing up on my arms. I don't feel a sense of like evil around me or anything, but I'm just going to pay attention to what's going on in my head. And if I'm in some sort of danger, then I just pray in the name of Jesus, you'd surround me and protect me. And so I put my bag back together and said, okay, gals, and in this culture, it's very, very common to hold hands or loop elbows with female friends. And I think this had to have been like 94 or something like that, I think. And so I'm literally like locked elbows with 2 of my students, and we start walking, and it was not even 10 seconds later. Everything that is about to happen happened in probably less than 5 to 10 seconds, but it happened so quickly. All of a sudden, all 4 of my students were gone, like in an instant, and I was surrounded in a circle of very tall men wearing all black with hoods, and there was at least 6 of them, 6 to 8 of them. They had me surrounded in a circle. And I started to say Jesus out loud, and I only got G out. And I can't explain this because I don't know what happened, Tom, but it was like a crowd of like 100 people walked like past me, like through me. And all of these men like got pulled away in every direction, like with the crowd. And then all of a sudden, my students were back hooked arms with me. And I'm looking at them to see if they're alarmed or saying like, are you okay? And they're just like, they're not registering that anything happened. So I'm like, I'm losing my mind. I just had a hallucination. Like I'm hallucinating, or that was like demonic, or they were just trying to scare me or whatever. And so we're walking for several blocks and I'm just kind of getting over the adrenaline and just saying like, okay, Vic, you just had an hallucination. And, so we get into the bus and I sit down. And when I sat down, I took my bag off and I set it on my lap. And at that point I realized the entire bag, it was like a thick black, like canvas. every inch of the bag was slashed with like daggers. There was cuts all over the bag. Like that's how close they were to me with knives. And miraculously, nothing came out of the bag. And I showed it to my students and they were horrified. And they're like, how did this happen? When I'm like, did you guys see like these guys? And they're like, what? Like they didn't see it, Tom. I don't know. To this day, I can't make heads or tails out of it. I believe it was real people. I don't think it was demons, or I think it was real people, because years and years later, I was reading an article in an atlas of all places. And so I was reading up on Mongolia. And I should say that politically at this time, back in the 90s, there was a lot of tension between Russia and Mongolia because they were kind of taking over the Mongolian language and things like that. So the Cyrillic language and the Russian language was kind of taking over the Mongolian language and a lot of the traditions. And so it's not like they saw a lot of Americans over there. So if they saw a white person, they did assume that you were Russian. And so they would kind of target you. And I read in this atlas that these bands of men, all in black with hoods, would walk around with daggers to not just rob the Russian people, but murder them. Like once they got what they were going to kill you or whatever. And so it took me years to kind of figure out, I think they were actually really guys, and it falls in line with what was going through my head. I was praying for my life, but I just think, I mean, there's a lot of aspects of that story that are interesting, cool, fascinating, insightful into the spirit realm, whatever. But the fact that the Spirit of God like tipped me off ahead of time, but what would have happened if I hadn't prayed? What would have happened if I hadn't been paying attention to like what was in my brain, or if I'd been distracted? Like, I don't know. I mean, the Lord might have protected me anyway. I don't know, but that is one of the more strange things that has happened to me.
Yeah, that's really strange, Vic. I can't believe I've known you this long and I've never heard that story.
Yeah.
That's weird. I don't know if I can top that. So the best I got of a strange thing that happened to me was I was in second grade and I grew up on a farm. And I actually gave your dad a Tom Dunn reality tour one morning last time he was in town.
I heard about that.
Yeah, and I drove him past the farm I grew up on. It's not in the family anymore. But so there were cows on the farm, there were pigs on the farm, there were cats and dogs. But there was a pile of hay, and there was a pitchfork in that pile of hay, and I was playing in it. And I was taking the pitchfork and I was stabbing the hay.
Uh-oh.
I was in second grade. Now, I don't know how this happened, but I stabbed myself in the leg with the pitchfork.
Oh, no.
Yeah. Now, here's the thing. I'm glad this is hilarious, Vic.
I'm getting a visual. And the soundtrack is Patsy Cline. Strange how you stop loving me.
Yeah,
okay.
That's a good song. So here's the thing. I was pretty coordinated, okay? I don't know how I did that, and it didn't make sense. It was almost like I don't remember it going into my leg or how it happened. It was just there, you know? It was the most bizarre thing.
Was it a bloodbath?
Everybody asked me how I did it. I was like, I don't know how I did it. I was playing with the pitchfork. I was stabbing it into the hay, and I was holding it away from my body. Okay?
Yeah. Was it stuck? Like, did you have to do it?
Yeah, no, my grandpa had to come over and pull it out of my leg.
Oh, intense.
Yeah. So that night, they took me to the emergency room. And I went to the emergency room and they said, it'll be okay. Put some ice on it. I was just talking about this yesterday.
Oh gosh. No tetanus shot?
Well, no, I don't think so. Yeah.
Ooh.
And I was allergic to tetanus or whatever. I can't remember. I don't think I got a tetanus shot that night. No. But the next morning I woke up and I couldn't walk. My leg was in bad shape. So
Ooh.
my mom took me to the doctor, and the doctor was like, get him to the hospital now. And I had to go into the hospital for a week, and they put an IV in me. They put, I almost lost my leg.
So was it an infection?
Oh yeah, it was infected bad, and they were trying to stop it from going gangrene, is what I was always told.
Wow.
So I was in second grade. Now this is a part you can laugh at if you want, since you're laughing, since you think these things are funny. So, do you laugh at funerals as well? Anyway.
Sometimes, depends on who died. Hey,
Okay.
do you have like 4 like perfect
No, I
scar
got
like
2.
holes? Oh,
I've
2.
got
Okay.
2 marks. They're scars. They're pretty much gone now, but it's in my thigh, and there's
Oh,
actually
that
it's
high
hard to
up?
see now.
That
So
high up?
there's a tattoo over them now.
I was
So
wondering if you did
yeah.
that. It'd be
So
funny if you like did a tattoo of like hay around. Okay. I'm sorry.
so
This is why I'm not a nurse, people.
yeah. So anyway, they pretty much used me as a pincushion in that hospital.
Oh,
And I was scared to death of needles, and probably am pretty much still traumatized, have PTSD. Okay.
yeah.
But they were drawing blood out of me like a bunch of vampires,
Oh,
and they were sticking all kinds of needles in me. And
sickos.
I just remember my bed was surrounded by nurses, and everybody was trying to hold me down, to hold me still. And they couldn't hold me still to get the IV in me. I was fighting them so hard.
Oh my gosh.
So they had to come and take me at night when I was out of it and put the IV in my arm.
They put like sleeping agent in your chocolate milk.
Yeah, and I just remember being out of it. I remember the bright light, right in my face,
Yeah.
but I couldn't fight him as well.
Yeah. Oh
So,
man.
yeah, and they finally gave up. They're like, we can't hold this kid down.
Oh my god.
So, yeah. And I was in the hospital for about a week, and yeah, not fun. Second grade. It was in October of my second grade year.
Ah.
And I remember when I was getting better and I could walk again, I took off running down the hospital hall. And my mom, I was like out doing my thing, and my mom was in the room watching TV, and she saw something just go by the door, and I wanted to test my leg out, right?
Yeah.
And
Oh
yeah,
my
she saw me
gosh.
just flying down the hall, and you're not allowed to run in the hospital, right? So
Yeah.
but anyway, I did.
Man.
So
It's funny when you say the needle thing. I don't know why, like as kids, like the scariest thing in the world is if you have to get a shot. Like it's like this disproportionate fear. And I remember, and I guess some of this was just naivety, but I would have to go in and have like these serious surgeries. And as soon as they like, when you go to the hospital, they draw your blood when you first get there.
yeah.
That was like the only thing I was terrified of. And as soon as they had done my blood draw, I'm like, okay, the rest is easy. Like the whole surgery hadn't even been done yet. And I'm like, as long as that stupid blood draw was done. But this is back in the day. This was like the
Mhm.
crazy sadistic 70s. They would take like just like a big needle and just jam it. Like it wasn't even like some
Dude,
professional little thing. They're just like
I'm
poking
telling
you.
you what, like they had to give me a shot one time at the doctor's office, and it was in my arm, I think. It might have been a tetanus shot or something. I don't know it was probably a vaccine, who knows.
Probably.
And they're like, okay, we want you to count backwards from 10 or 20 or something. I'm like 10, 9. Yeah! Like I started screaming, dude, and the people out in the waiting room are like, because I think my grandma was out in the waiting room. She's like, man, that whole doctor's office could hear you. They thought, like, it sounded like I was being murdered in there.
The waiting room like
Dude,
clears
I was
out.
so mad because they tricked me. They didn't tell me that a needle was coming, but it's probably good that they didn't, because I would have fought that. Yeah, I was like, not having it.
Yeah.
So it's funny because I had to have my blood drawn. This was over 10 years ago for whatever reason, because they wanted to do a blood test on me because we were switching insurance companies. And there was a phlebotomist that came to my house, And dude, I was a nervous wreck. I had not had a needle in me since I was a kid. And I had anxiety about this for weeks. And my wife was like, "What is going on with you?" Right?
Yeah.
And dude, and I'm just like, "Okay, God, you're gonna help me through this. You're gonna help me through this." And God and my wife holding my hand, like I was able to have the blood drawn. But
Oh man.
yeah,
No, I feel your pain. Literally, like that was like my only fear until, probably through my teens was just do anything but a needle. I was so disproportionately terrified of needles, Tom, that all through high school, I couldn't do it anymore, guys. I would get my cavities filled without Novocaine because I would rather have the drill pain than the shot. Like that's how insane scared of needles I was.
wow.
Yeah.
Well, now they put like they put a gel on your gum before they even stick the needle in.
I know. Why were they such like sadistic people in the 70s, man? You
Oh
know,
man.
my second cousin who's in her 20s now, she had her tonsils taken out when she was a little girl. And so my cousin said, "Hey, do you want to come? It's like just a day surgery. Can you come to the hospital and just like be with her? And like you've been to the hospital and you can tell her it's like blah, blah, blah." And so I show up at this children's hospital and it's for this day surgery and it's got like all of these like beautiful things painted on the wall and they're coming over and giving her popsicles and mom and dad comes into the room with them as they get this little like shot that they don't even feel because of like the Novocaine cream. And I'm like, what is happening? Like none
Man.
of this happened in the 70s. They would say mom and dad can't go past this point because it's not sterile, and you'd be sitting there all by yourself and some stranger would like lead you wide awake into the operating room where you could see all like the knives and scissors.
Uh-huh.
Like I
Oh,
cannot believe I'm not like a completely traumatized individual at this point in my life.
dude. I had so much work done in my mouth, like by my dentist. Like when I turned 18, I was like, I'm not going back to the dentist. I'm not going. And thank God I never got a cavity. And I didn't go for probably 14 years, right
Yeah,
around there.
yeah.
And the reason I went is because I had a molar that needed to come out. What do you call them? All the way in the back, the
The wisdom teeth?
wisdom teeth. Yeah.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
And it had a hole in it. And I could stick my tongue in it, and it needed to come out anyway
Oh
because it
my
was in there sideways.
Oh,
But yeah, it had a hole in it and it was pretty bad. So that was the only problem I had. And I've been going back to the dentist ever since, like every, at least every 6 months. So, but yeah,
yeah.
um, I'm over that for the most part. I don't like my mouth messed with, but
I don't either. I don't either.
so Vic, okay, your turn. You got anything else, or was that it?
Oh man, strange stuff that's happened to me. Oh man,
Strange days.
I've got a lot of strange stories. I could tell you, let me see. I have a little list in my phone,
Of strange
obviously.
stories. You knew this was
Not strange stories actually. I'll tell you when I was writing, they only come out at night. So it wasn't written yet and I was doing research. And obviously I was gathering people's stories. And in fact, even before I was part of the Through the Black family, you had me on Through the Black and I put out a shout out like, hey, if you've had
mm,
an experience that you want to tell me about, give me a call or send me an email. And so after I had done, maybe 2 dozen of these interviews, there was about 10 or 15% of the people that would offer up this little tidbit. They'd say, yeah, I never should have been born. I should have died in the womb. I should have died at birth. And they started listing all of the times from birth to the present, like all of these unusual circumstances where they absolutely like should have died. And I'm like, well, that's weird. So then whenever I talk to people now who have had sleep paralysis their whole life, I'll say, do you have like a whole bunch of like close to death? Like it's hard to, I don't want to say near death experiences because people connotate that differently. But have you ever had all these experiences where like you came really close to dying and they're like, yeah. And it's this weird thing that we all have in common for some reason. So I started to think, well, did that happen to me? Not including like serious surgeries and whatever. So I started a list, and like it's like a long list. Okay. So here's another one.
Okay.
Speaking of things that we don't like, needles. I did not like swimming pools when I was a kid. They scared me to death, and I didn't know how to swim, and I didn't like swimming pools. And in fact, a lot of my nightmares would have to do with swimming pools, where I would be like in the middle of like a swimming pool that was empty, just like with all the cement, and then it would like start filling up and like all this stuff. Like, so at this point, I'm like probably around 4 years old, 5 years old, and I can't swim. And my mom knows I can't swim. My brother can't swim. Like, and it was an unusually hot day. And this is why I know I was 4 years old, because when I was 5 years old, we lived at a house that had an up-ground pool in the backyard. So if it had been really hot, we would have just went into our own pool. So we went to like a public park, where there was like a public pool, just to be in the water and cool down, because it was such a hot day. And my dad, who is a workaholic, was in like the rec area on a payphone making sales calls. So mom was sitting on the side of the shallow end with her feet in the water. And my brother and I were like in the little 3 feet section, like by the stairs, kind of just up to our waist. And my brother and I were splashing around. And again, the next second, I was in the deep end. I can't account for it. I don't know if it was a brain glitch. I don't know if it was like missing time. I do not know what happened. Now it's possible, like, let's go Occam's razor, like, let's go, not everything has to be strange and woo. I had a couple of my first surgeries that I had were like exploratory brain surgery, and like they didn't know like if everything, so with all the digging around they did up there, maybe there was a glitch, maybe something happened, maybe they left a scalpel up there. I don't know. You know what I mean? Like, I don't know. But I just know that the next second I open my eyes and I'm going under, and I'm coming up, and I'm screaming, and I'm going down, and I'm terrified. And a man who I didn't know, a stranger, pulled me up and got me out and brought me over to my mom. And I just remember the predominant emotion was that I was furious at my mom, like even more than scared. I was so furious. And because in my mind, I'm thinking the length of time it would have taken for me to get all the way that, like, my mom would have been figuring out that I was floating away, like I was very angry at my mom. And so I said to my mom, why didn't you help me? And very, very uncharacteristic of my mom, she's like, oh, I just thought you were splashing around and having fun. And I'm like, I can't swim. Like, why would a 4-year-old be in 10 feet of water? You know what I mean? And so it didn't make sense. And so we went and got my dad, and I was so angry that I like told on my mom. I said to my dad, I almost drowned, and mom doesn't even care. She didn't even do anything. And he was just like, I don't know what sort of conversation they had later or whatever. Dad's like, do you want some ice cream? And then it was forgotten, because, we were going to get some ice cream. And it's the strangest thing, Tom. I think about that one all the time too. And I just wonder, how did that happen? What happened to the time in between my being in 3 feet of water, splashing around with my brother, and being all the way at the other end of the pool, going under? Like, it was literally like I closed my eyes and opened it, and I was there. I can't explain that. It was the weirdest thing. And again, would have resulted in death had the stranger not, I don't know.
Wow. I had an experience like that around the same time. I was probably in maybe 3rd or 4th grade, and we were staying for a few days at this campground, and there was a swimming pool on the campground, and I jumped in the pool and was playing in the pool, and there was this divider in the middle of it that divided the deep end from the shallow end, but I didn't know that. I was like, what's this thing? Throw it over. It just went, and then I went down. I didn't know how to swim. So I went down, and I pushed off the bottom and got up and got my face up out of the water, and I tried to say help, but I couldn't even get a whole help out. And I went down, and then I jumped off again, and I tried to get it. I mean, there were all kinds of people in the pool, but they didn't know what was going on with me. And there
Yeah.
was a friend of the family there that jumped in and pulled me out and saved me.
Oh
And
gosh, it's
dude,
so scary.
yeah, it was crazy. And the funny thing is, my grandpa had a dream about me in water that I drowned or something, or that I almost drowned that week. So
Yeah, you know, that was traumatic that young. And what's really weird is after that, shortly after that, I'd say around 5 or 6 years old, because it was still in Philly. I was in the hospital and I was sharing a room. It was so children's hospital, so everybody there's kids, right? And I was recovering from one of my surgeries, and I remember I had a bone graft on this one where they had taken like shaved bone off of my rib to build my nose, because this is all reconstructive bone and skin graft. And so my rib hurt really bad, and it hurt to move and lay in bed and stuff. And I shared the room with a boy who was about my age, and he had almost drowned in a swimming pool. And I can't remember if he lived or not, but all day and all night I was sitting in a bed next to a kid who was coughing up water, like they were getting water out of his lungs. So it was just, by the time I was 5 or 6 years old, it's like, I don't ever want to see a swimming pool or an ocean or a beach like ever again.
wow.
I don't even want to sit in a deep bathtub at this point. But yeah, the swimming pool stuff, especially at a young age, oh my gosh, that's so scary.
When I was in about 4th grade, I was on a canoe trip, and my mom was with us, and we were with a bunch of friends of hers. And we went on this long canoe trip down the river. It's a place here in our area that we would go to. And the plan was, when we got down to the end, that they were going to tip the canoes. And they did. And I think maybe by that time I could swim, but my mom could not swim. And it was a very deep part. And they tipped the canoe. She went under, and she was fighting for her life. And I watched the whole thing, and I'm screaming, you know, and it was pretty traumatic. Somebody jumped in and saved my mom and pulled her out, and she was fighting them at the same time.
Yeah.
I remember. But I was pretty upset, that day. She was a mess, and so I remember my friend was with me on the trip, and I don't know, he was one of those friends that was just kind of like, he, just liked to mess with you or test you, or, sometimes he was a little jerk. And he asked me, he's like, what would you have done if your mom would have drowned today?
Oh
And then,
my gosh.
yeah. And then the next thing they know, like, the parents are in another room, and they hear like fighting, right? Because I just jumped on him and started attacking him, because I knew he did it just to tick me off, right?
Yeah.
And I was emotionally upset, pretty bad. And the funny thing is, and I think this is hilarious now, like, they took me to the emergency room because they thought something was wrong with me because I attacked this kid. No. There's nothing wrong with me.
Yeah.
That was probably a normal response, but dude, I was going to just to beat the life out of him if they pulled me off of him.
Oh my gosh.
And he acted like, what did I do?
Yeah. All right.
I'm innocent, and he's crazy. So they took me. They're like, trying to, who knows what they were trying to do. Took me to the emergency room. My mom did.
Oh my gosh.
Well, he attacked his friend, and
a violent outburst.
Yeah.
I was so stinking scared of swimming pools that when we moved back to Minnesota, the junior high that I would have gone to had an indoor pool, and you took swimming as a freshman, like it or not. It was like a mandatory class. And I was so terrified. I remember begging and begging and begging my parents to put me in a private school that didn't have a pool. And I was not like raised in an era where 12 and 13-year-old kids got to make life decisions. Like you just did what you were told, right? And I don't know, I guess I just had enough terror and persuasion and prayer backed behind me where I ended up, they let me go to this private school for 6th, 7th, and 8th grade. And here's a lesson to be learned, people. This was my Jonah moment. I wanted to run away from this, swimming pool. That junior high was so miserable, Tom. Those kids were so freaking mean. They would bullied me, they teased me, and I'm thinking being thrown in the swimming pool in the public school would have been so much easier than the torment I had at that junior high. Just face your swimming pool, people. Like it's just take your medicine, like the Lord knows. Whenever we try to like run away from something or we let our fears make our decisions, it's not always a great idea.
Yeah. This is kind of cool. I'm telling stories that I've never told before. Jim says the truth comes out about Tom. I don't know which part he's referring to, that I'm a maniac.
It's a good thing Tom didn't have a pitchfork when his friend told him that.
I mean, you better just watch out, guys, because if I'm standing next to you at the conference next week, I could just attack, right? Because I'm unstable. It could come back to me.
Oh man. Okay, but I can tell you my Devil's Tower story.
Devil's Tower. Oh, you've been to Devil's Tower. Okay.
Oh yeah. So, family vacation sometime in the late 80s. So this was somewhere circa 87, 88, 89 probably. So my brother and I are teenagers. I'm probably 15, 16. And we're camping. And this was back in the day. I don't think you can do this anymore. You could actually camp right there at the foot of Devil's Tower. It was like a campground. You could hang out there and go right up to it. Maybe you still can. I don't know. But again, it was a heat wave and it was just extraordinarily hot and humid out that day. And there was a river. There's like a river like that kind of runs to the side of it. And there was all sorts of signs to stay out of the river because I don't know if it was Giardia or whatever, but they were like, stay out of the river. But it was so hot. Everybody was in the river. And I must have been hot if I freaking got into a river because I had enough water experiences. But it was so miserable that we got into the river. So it was this unusual like heat wave. So we're in our tent at night, going to bed, sun is down, and it's still hot. And now you're like baking in this tent, right? And so I had trouble sleeping. And so I thought that I was having sleep paralysis because I'm laying there on my sleeping bag and I'm seeing shadows playing on the tent. And so I thought it was the shadow people. I thought I was, having sleep paralysis. And I think what it was is that I was so scared I couldn't move. And because how sometimes, you have that fight or flight kind of thing where when you get scared, you don't move. But so everything about it, just being tired and hot and it being late, and my going in and out of sleep, seeing the shadows, not being able to move, I just assumed it was sleep paralysis. And then there was all these shadows circling the tent. And you could see like these shapes of these like people going around the tent. And one guy goes, well, I got my 45. We could just shoot them all right through the tent. No one would know. And I'm like freaking out now. And I'm praying like, Jesus, wake me up. Jesus, wake me up, And so I was praying and I just laid there until, I fell back asleep or whatever. And so for some reason, I didn't say anything about it the next day because I probably just, like I said, I probably just thought it was a nightmare, probably thought it was sleep paralysis. And I was at an age in my teens, I didn't really ever talk to my parents about sleep paralysis. I don't think like they really knew that was going on. So I didn't say anything. So years and years later, I'm probably in my 30s at this point, and somebody was talking about Devil's Tower or there's something on TV about it. And so I turned to my mom and I said, remember when we went to Devil's Tower and on vacation? And she's like, yeah. And I said, I had a nightmare one night. And she looked at me and she said that guys were circling our tent and talking about having a 45 and shooting all of us in our sleep. I was like, wait, what? So I legit think it happened. And I look at it now because I always want a rational explanation. I'm just thinking they must have been drunk and just goofing off or whatever. Because if they had really planned on shooting up the campground, somebody in the campground would have wound up, hurt. And so I don't know what it was, Tom. I don't know if it was just like other campers or hunters there who were just drunk and buzzed and just acting stupid or whatever. But the fact that my mom confirmed it led me to believe that there probably really were dudes walking around the tent saying that, and it just freaked us both out. But it was like literally, I didn't figure that out until like my 30s, that was probably something that really happened.
Wow. Yeah, that's kind of crazy. Interesting. Folks, we're just sharing some strange stories tonight. But let me take this little break to share with you 1 Peter 4:12. So, Vic, I don't know if you know this, but this is the verse where I was inspired to get the name for the conference, Strange Land.
I did not know this.
Okay. So, dear friends, do not be surprised at the fiery ordeal that has come on you to test you, as though something strange were happening to you. So, yeah, I actually heard like a paraphrase of this in a song. Okay, don't be surprised when strange things happen to you. Out of a song by Liz Weiss. It's actually the song that we use for one of our intros.
Oh.
But for whatever reason, that just stuck with me, and I like the way that was worded, and that was the inspiration for the conference. And I meant to bring that out the other night, but I forgot. I used the part, the fiery, do not be surprised at the fiery ordeal that has come upon you to test you. So, as though something strange were happening to you.
Nice.
So, folks, what are your strange stories? We want to know. Put them in the comments. Let us know. Send us an email. I don't know. It's going to be hard to top the first one Vicki told tonight, but I'm sure maybe somebody out there could.
Oh, yeah.
Probably if George was here, he could top it.
Okay.
If not, he might just make something up too.
That's right.
Just to win.
Right. Oh, just to win. Exactly. Yeah. I wouldn't put it past him. I always think, Tom, when you say strange land, and we've talked about this before off camera, I think, I always think of the Petra song, Not of This World, where it says, we are strangers in a strange land. We are not of this world.
Yeah. Yeah.
I love that.
Well, in that verse, in one of the translations, it says strange things happening to you. Well, I didn't want to call it strange things, right? Because that sounds too much like Stranger Things.
Oh, yeah.
But no, that's cool. Yeah, and I think of that too. Strangers in a strange land, right? Mm-hmm. We are, and we've been kind of talking about that. So, folks, yeah, conference is next week. 2 weeks from now, it's all going to be over, and I know I keep talking about that, but it's not that I don't want to do the conference. It's just so much work to do a conference, but we got a lot of help, and I have a piece. Everything's going to be okay, and it's going to be a good time. So I just, this for me, this is really, this is kind of personal because it's where two worlds are going to collide. My church family, who don't really know what they're getting themselves into, and my through the Black family, who this is just normal for us. Strange is normal, right? Remember what Colonel Troutman said about Rambo?
No.
He says, "What you call hell, he calls home."
Oh, goodness.
Dude, that was my other favorite movie from a kid was Rambo and First Blood.
Oh, man.
Yeah. So he was warning somebody about Rambo. He's like, hey, yeah, watch out around him because you might call it hell, but he calls it home.
Oh, my goodness. Oh, my goodness. I don't know how I escaped the Rambo franchise, Tom, with my dad and my brother. For me, it was between my dad and my brother, it was James Bond, Clint Eastwood, and all the ninja stuff, all the Bruce Lee.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
That's all good stuff. But when I saw probably First Blood was what started me down this road that I'm down today. Because when I found out that the government was going to arrest John Rambo for vagrancy, that's when I turned and I knew they couldn't be trusted.
And
You know what
he's
I'm saying?
still avenging
Yes.
Mr. Rambo
And
to
if you
this
watch
day.
that movie, Vic, you will be right there beside me. I
Will
am
I?
telling you what, yes.
I don't know, man.
When you see what they did to him, all he wanted was something to eat. That's all he wanted.
Mm.
And yeah, they didn't know that they started a war with the wrong man.
Wrong guy.
So, you know, one of the trips I want to take is to that town in Canada where they filmed that movie.
Oh, you're serious. You're a
Oh yeah,
diehard
dude.
fan. Oh, wow.
Like you
What
could
would you
still go to that place.
what would you do when you got there?
I would go to all the places where the movie was filmed
Okay.
and take my picture there. I don't know.
Oh,
It's not,
gosh.
man. There's so much cool shots in that movie. So
Wow.
I think they even have probably a picture or a statue of Sylvester Stallone and
Oh, probably.
Rambo.
It's funny. I don't think I ever saw a Rambo movie unless I did with my brother. But when you say that, the nostalgic little picture that flips into my mind is being in an old pre-Blockbuster, just a little VHS rental store, like that first popped up in the 80s when the VCR was invented, where all of the walls had
Yeah.
all of like the movies out the cardboard. And because there was all those Rambo movies with. So
Yeah.
that's what I'm seeing in my head. I'm not seeing the movie. I'm actually seeing all the videos sitting on the wall in the video store.
I actually recorded it off a TV.
Oh yeah, we
Because
used to
they
do
played it
that.
on TV and I watched it. Yeah.
Yeah, we did that.
Yeah.
We
So
had
what were we talking about? Oh, I was talking about the movie JFK yesterday. JFK and First Blood are in my top 5 movies.
yeah, I've heard you talk. What do you think about the JFK files being allegedly declassified?
Well, I mean, we basically already know, what the truth is behind that. If it can bring any confirmation, that's great. I don't see them, being fully honest. But here's the thing. I get why they wouldn't want to do it because it makes them look bad, but everybody's dead. Everybody is dead now. There's nobody that was involved in that. I mean, even if they're alive, there's nothing ever going to come against them. I'm thinking of I can't remember the guy that came up with the magic bullet theory. I don't know if he's alive or not, but all these people are dead and gone. Let's bring the truth out and let's show people the truth about government, but they're probably not going to do it. So we'll see. I was actually kind of cruising through the documents last night. Katie put up a link and I was just like randomly clicking on documents to see what it would say. It was kind of interesting, but yeah, hopefully they'll find some stuff. I know there was a couple things of interest, but there's thousands of pages, right? So
Yeah.
it's gonna take a while to get through them. But I'm sure people's got like some kind of program. There were a few interesting things, that they found, but probably it's not going to be any smoking gun. So
no. Well, and I'm sure if there is, they'll leave that page out.
yeah, I would tell you this: the one thing that I read, I saw it on an X feed, was there was a guy, and I don't remember what his name was, who left after JFK was assassinated. He left DC in a hurry, and he confided in some people that the CIA, a small part of the CIA, was involved in the assassination of Kennedy, and it was just weeks later that he wound up dead.
Oh,
by suicide. He shot himself in the back of the head. So
with a rifle, with a long rifle.
Yeah. So, but I mean, that's an interesting thing, but they're going to be very careful about what they release. So
Yeah. Yep. Interesting. Yeah. You're right, Jim. I was going to make a comment about, everybody's dead, but not everybody's kids are.
Yeah. So lots of First Blood movies. The last First Blood movie was called Last Blood, Rambo, and dude, that movie is so satisfying. The script is not the greatest, the acting is not the greatest, but dude, and I know the Bible says vengeance is mine, but it's so good to see him just wreak havoc on all these child traffickers. Oh, dude, it was a beautiful thing.
Oh man.
It feels
Oh
so
man.
satisfying. Oh man, it's just a movie, folks. I'm not gonna do anything. I'm not suggesting anybody else do anything, but
Settle down.
I'm just saying watch the last movie and tell me you don't feel good afterwards.
Oh man. Maybe I'll just read the screenplay.
Yeah. Well, it's not the greatest, but it's
Oh.
he gives it to him good. And yeah. Folks, throughtheblack.com is the website. That's the name of the show. Thank you so much for joining us. I can't believe that we're hanging out and there's 26 people here and there's more in the archives. We just appreciate you guys so much. We couldn't do what we do if you guys didn't listen. I don't know why you do, but we like what you do. And when you guys share the show, it gets the word out and helps us promote everything. Hey, folks, just want to remind you, if you're on social media, if you're on Facebook or whatever, you can share those slides that I made up to help us promote the conference, okay? And they're also available on the Through the Black website. Katie put them down at the bottom of the page so anybody can grab them, and you can put them out on Twitter. You can put them out on Instagram, Facebook, wherever on social media, on the Strangeland subpage on Through the Black. So Vic, as we were saying, next week we're going to be here. Maybe we'll be in the studio. We'll be in Mansfield together. We've got a lot of work to do next week, but hey, I'm going to sign off with this little ad for Strangeland here, and we'll see you guys next week. Okay, bye.
Well, hello everybody. Mark Harrington here, president of Created Equal, and Created Equal is a pro-life outreach and training organization that takes abortion victim photography and video to college and high school campuses all across America. And I'm going to be one of the speakers at the Strangeland Conference in Mansfield in March. And I'll be speaking about how we raise up the next generation of leaders to take on the culture of death and win. So join me for the Strangeland Conference in Mansfield in March. Hope to see you there.